Was Jesus wrong to kick all those people out of the temple? Subscribe and click that bell for all things Bible. Previously on Bible Central. Just go watch the video, the link is in the description down below. We were trying to find out if Jesus let his anger get the best of him during the famous cleansing of the temple. And technically, being angry isn't wrong, especially if you happen to be God, which of course, Jesus was. What makes it right or wrong is what you do with your anger. In the last video, we laid out some historical context for the event. In this video, we're going to look for clues in the Bible itself. The fact that it is written about in all four Gospels means that we can take details from each of the different writers to construct a completed image. First stop, Mark chapter 11.
And Jesus entered into Jerusalem, and into the temple. And when he had looked round about upon all things, and now the eventide was come, he went out unto Bethany with the 12.
So what does that have to do with anything? Well, this takes place the day before Jesus cleanses the temple. So, Jesus wasn't surprised at the sight of the money changers and the animals. He already knew they were there. Also, he was God, so he already knew they were there. He looked all around at everything in the temple and didn't lift a finger. Rather, he left for the night.
And plotted his next move.
Already we can see that this isn't an instance where Jesus acted out in the moment. It even appears that Jesus carefully considered what he was going to do the next day. Do we have any proof of this? Maybe. Here's the information we get from John's Gospel.
And when he had made a scourge of small cords, he drove them all out of the temple, and the sheep, and the oxen, and poured out the changers' money, and overthrew the tables, and said unto them that sold doves, Take these things hence, make not my Father's house an house of merchandise.
Two notes here. First, Jesus makes a scourge or whip out of some rope lying around. Now, it's not said how long it took him to make this, but it did take some preparation, so he didn't just come out swinging. It's worth noting that we're not explicitly told whether or not he used his scourge on people, even though it does say he drove them out before it even mentions the animals. Did he hit people? I'm actually inclined to believe no, mainly for my second note. John says he makes his whip, drives out the animals, flips over the money changers' tables, scatters all the coins, and then he looks at the sellers of doves and more or less says, okay, you guys take your stuff and leave. That seems a little bit unfair. I mean, everybody else got their party ruined. What made the Dove brothers so special? Maybe Jesus has a soft spot for doves. Or maybe, even in righteous anger, Jesus chose his actions carefully. You see, cows and sheep, they can be rounded up. Coins, they can be gathered again. It's a real pain, but you can do it. But once you let the birds out of the cages, that's it, my friend.
They go!
So although Jesus was upset, he didn't cause any permanent damage to someone's livelihood. He was shaking people up to make a point. They no longer had respect for the house of God. It was treated as a shortcut across town by some. For some, it was a way to cheat unsuspecting pilgrims out of their money. And for others, the business side of the ministry had simply clouded their judgment over time.
It took something dramatic to wake everybody up. Why am I talking like this?
Jesus had every right to kick people out and to enforce some rules. This was his Father's house after all. If you invited a friend to your home for dinner, but instead they brought work associates and started conducting a business meeting in your living room, wouldn't you have the right to kick them out? What if people were using your home as a shortcut through the neighborhood, or hosting a high-stakes poker game in your bathroom? The next thing you know, here comes a herd of cows down your hallway, and
Y'all is getting out of this house R.A.T. right now.
obviously Jesus was well within his rights to clean house. But even so, he showed mercy. Let this be a lesson to all of us. If your church has a coffee bar or a gift shop in the lobby, go break it down. Pour out that coffee. Rip up those books. Belt your pastor a good one. And get a video of you doing it. Please? No, we're not saying any of those things are inherently wrong. Get out of the comment section and come back and watch the video. But we should examine our own hearts to see how we approach worship. If you're someone in ministry, do things like upkeep and administration or just general busyness rob you of joy? If you're a regular church member, have you become so familiar with the things of God that you don't have the same respect that you once did. I have zero reservations in saying the answer to these questions are emphatically yes, and I am not excluding myself from this at all. Sometimes we need the Holy Spirit to turn over the tables in our own lives and to drive out the conveniences that keep us from an authentic relationship with God. Well, that got somber real quick. But that's not always a bad thing. We hope you enjoyed this episode of Bible Central. Hey, be sure to go and watch part 1, because why would you have even watched this video if you hadn't watched that one yet? Seriously. If you would, leave a comment down below telling us what you thought. We'd love to hear from you. Be sure to subscribe and click that bell. And remember, don't trust what I say. Trust what he said. It's upside down.